Hey, David Brewster here, New Brewster's Millions of Rants, and this is Slide It In, and I want to clear the air right here at the beginning of this video. This is not a Whitesnake Slide It In lesson, and it's also not a slide guitar lesson. I've actually featured both of those things here on my channel before. Look for the original Whitesnake chord play and you'll find Slide It In. There's also a slide guitar primer rant video that I made a couple years ago. But anyway, this lesson is going to basically feature 3 exercises that I've had for a long time. And I use them as warm-ups, like one of the first things I usually do on the guitar when I first wake up. Maybe I'm drinking coffee, trying to wake up my hand. They're great for, really kind of toughening up your fingers, finger independence, the calluses on the tips of your fingers. And it really kind of helps wake up your hand, which is the whole point of an exercise or a workout. So if you're looking for some things like this, you also want to investigate some of these sliding ideas, buckle up. Here we go. Okay, the first exercise I've nicknamed Tom Morello's Whammy pedal, and I've actually had this for a long time. The origin for this exercise actually appeared when Audioslave appeared on the scene. I think it was back in 2002, and at that time I had a ton of students that were obsessed with Tom Morello, Audioslave, Rage Against the Machine, and whammy pedals. Now, I've never owned a whammy pedal. I have played through and used whammy pedals before, but I don't actually own one, and a lot of my students I've taught over the years don't own whammy pedals either. But the idea of this kind of came from all that whammy pedal, focus. So this first exercise, we're going to basically use all your fret hand fingers in a series of slides on the neck. Now, I have technically featured this once before. That was like 4 or 5 years ago now, so I wanted to include this again because this is a great low impact start for this kind of slide it in workout. And what we're going to do is grab F with your index finger there on the first fret on the low E string. Grab that note with some authority. Maybe fret it a little bit harder than you normally do. Pick it. You can actually pick a little bit harder than you normally do. Shake it with some vibrato. Really kind of dig into that note. And then slide it all the way up to the F octave right there at the 13th fret. Grab that note with some authority. Maybe shake it with some vibrato. And then slide back down where we started, the original F note. So the first note with your index fingers like this. And we're just sliding up and then right back down again. Now, you don't really want to shred through this. Just take your time and go kind of slow and really get a feel for that string with your index finger just like that. Now do the exact same thing on F sharp, but use your middle finger now and go from F sharp to F sharp, back and forth. Do the same thing on G with your third finger. G sharp with your pinky. Now move to the next string and start on that A sharp and do the same thing, but now on the A string. B right there. C. And then C sharp. I kind of overshot that one. There we go. D sharp now on the D string and just continue this process. E right there. F. Kind of screwed that one up. F sharp. Move over to the G string. Now start on G sharp. A. I kind of screwed that one up. A sharp. B. Move over to the B string. Now start on C. C sharp. D. D sharp. Now finally the high E, start on that F here. F sharp. G. And then G sharp. So I normally don't amplify myself when I play this exercise because there's not really that much to listen to. It's really just kind of a physical workout of shifting and sliding through the strings and through the frets like that. Definitely a great callus builder and a good one just to wake up the tips of your fingers and kind of get your hand moving. And that's a great low impact sliding exercise. So there's number 1, Tom Morello's whammy pedal. And one more thing before we continue, if you mess up, like maybe you go to the wrong fret or the note just kind of dies or your hand flies off the strings or something like that, if you make a mistake, just repeat the one that you messed up again before you move forward. And that is kind of demanding. So if you make a lot of mistakes, you're going to have to repeat a lot or start over a lot. But eventually, like once you kind of get a feel for that, you can run through it without amplifying your guitar. You can just kind of quietly do it, maybe, over in the corner or backstage, or, before a jam session or a lesson or something like that. You can just kind of run through that and basically wake up your hand at least a little bit. All right, the next exercise I've called the inchworm, and I've had this for a long time too. It's similar to Tom Morello's Whammy pedal workout, but different. We're using all your fret hand fingers. We're going to start on the same note, that low F, but then everything we're doing obviously is different than the Tom Morello exercise. So this is basically, we're going to start way down here on the first fret there on that F note, and we're going to do a series of slides using every fret hand finger. And we're going to gradually work our way up and glide and slide our way up to this high B way up here on the high E string. So we're going to basically use almost the entire fretboard for this exercise. And to get started here, we're going to start on this F note with your index finger, and you're going to slide F to F sharp, back to F, and then back to F sharp again. So we're doing this. And that's all index finger and this, kind of between those two notes there. Now move to the G note right there with your middle finger and slide between G and G sharp and do the same thing. And then A with your third finger there, A to A sharp and back. And then B to C right there with your pinky. So we just basically did this, right, with every fret hand finger, using slides. Now our last note right there is C, so that's the first note we're going to start on the next string, which is the A string right there. Start on C and then move C to C sharp, and then middle finger there on that D note, third finger on that E, pinky's on that F sharp, right? Last note there was G. That's the first note we're going to start on the D string right there on that G note, and do it again. Right? Last note there's D. Move to the D note there on the G string and start it again. Last note there's A. Go to the B string, start on A, and do it again. Last note there's E. Go to the high E string, start on E, and do it again. And there's that final B note. Now you could start on that B note and go in reverse and descend. Sounding exercise. That's something you don't really want to blast out of your amplifier, and typically I don't play that amplified. I usually just I know what it feels like, and I can usually kind of feel my way through it unplugged, and that's just a good kind of wake up your hands. You're using every fret hand finger, you're moving across basically the entire fretboard, and it's just a good exercise. Really kind of helps build the calluses, and once again kind of helps wake up your hand. Okay, the last exercise I'm going to share here is the Pentatonic Slip-n-Slide, and I've had this for a long time too, and this is also a great shifting and sliding and callus building, exercise, but it also will help you sharpen your knowledge and awareness of pentatonic scale positions. So if that's something you've been working on, this will really kind of sharpen your awareness and knowledge of where they are. So we need room to shift and slide around for this one. So you don't want to put it really low on the fretboard or really high. You probably want to put it somewhere in the middle of your fretboard so you've got room to kind of move around. And it's pentatonic based, so we're going to basically use 3 pentatonic positions, for this exercise. So I'm going to put this in C sharp minor right here. There's the good old C sharp minor pentatonic box, right? So we're going to use that position, also this one. There's the box. And then the position right after the box. Right? So what we're going to do here is start in the box, and we're going to use your index finger, slide that C sharp, back to B, and then back up to C sharp, then grab that E up to F sharp, back to E, like that. And And that's the first, string right there. And at the end, you want to do that C sharp to E hammer on, right? Now move to the next string and incorporate the same idea, but on the A string, like this. Same idea, just different string. Do the same thing on the D string now. Slide, back to the previous position. And then you're going to slide up to the next one. Like that. Go to the G string. The shape or pattern is going to be a little different here. Because there we're just going up to that G sharp. And the B string right there. And then the high E. And just kind of making your way through that. Right? Great exercise. It really wakes up your hand. And the big, I guess, benefit there is really noticing where those scale positions are. Because if you're kind of fuzzy on that, that definitely forces you to really think about, hey, you're not only thinking about one, you're thinking about three at the same time, right? Now you could actually do the same thing in reverse. Start at the top and then kind of make your way descending. Great exercise, and I like that where you're kind of killing multiple birds with the same, stone. You're warming up your hand, you're building some finger independence and kind of gliding and shifting, but you're also thinking about scales and positions, and that's, combining multiple things in the same exercise, which is great. All right, that's going to wrap this episode of Brewster's Millions of Rants with Slide It In, and just another series of workouts and warm-ups and exercises here. But I have hundreds of things like this that I've either written, myself, or I pulled it out of a guitar magazine, or it was something I stumbled on in a lesson, or a question that a student asked, or me just sitting here farting around with my guitar, seriously, and just thinking like, well, hey, what happens if I do this? Or what happens if I, shift with this finger and then grab another note with this finger, and then, and really kind of just think about strategies and movements and different ways of navigating the fretboard, either sliding, position shifting, string skipping, whatever. And with this, it's really hands-on. It forces you to think as you're warming up and playing through this stuff. And it's challenging. Like, you're going to sit there and maybe kind of play through this, the first couple times you try it. And you might mess up. You might slide in the wrong note, or, you might, just kind of like your hand might fly off the strings or something because you're not really used to doing it. But then after working on these exercises, you're probably going to notice like a little bit of extra strength and dexterity in your hand, especially while sliding. But then even just, kind of warming up your hand and moving into something else after this. Maybe you're going to work on picking or legato or something. And it's just a good kind of low impact, easy exercise that you don't technically even need to be plugged in. You can just play it quietly or silently, before a gig or a lesson or something. And, I like working on this. I like discovering things like this too, like, technical challenges and, kind of boosting your technique and stuff. Very worthwhile practice. So anyway, leave some feedback and comments. Please subscribe to Lessons, and I'll be back before you know with more content and material. Thank you.